It's Thursday morning. It's the 1st of June, and I'm here again with Doc Holliday, who is live here with us from Cyprus. And of course, the More Acquisitions saga rumbles on. So I'm going to hand over to Doc, and Doc is going to bring us up to date with the work he's been doing to try to get this new arrangement over the line, and also to provide us with some background. Hello, Doc. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Al. Been busy, bit tired. It's quite taxing communicating
I
with
know you
lots of
have.
people, and
It's been an administrative nightmare, hasn't it?
it's been an administrative nightmare. Yeah, it's been time consuming, taxing. A few people have helped sort of pull in the right direction. First and foremost, I just really want to thank shareholders again. They've been absolutely fantastic. And whether investors are patting me on the back saying, "Well, look, we're back trading now, and the shares are 0.7, 0.8, or whatever it is, and I can sell, and it's not as bad as this transaction at 0.5." Then good on them. I'm sure there's a couple of guys that have done that, but I do know there's a lot of people very supportive of this, and they feel quite principled about it. So just for those guys, thanks for being so quick in responding, communicating, and honest and open with both where the shareholdings are. There's a lot of people here that I've spoke to for many years. I don't know, anything about the backgrounds, and they're telling me, their home addresses, where the holdings stock, the number of shares they're holding, and all of the personal details, and they're entrusting that on me. And I really do sort of want to just say my personal thanks and extend that to all shareholders in More Acquisitions. Moving on, shares are back trading today. We anticipated this, and that's kind of like throwing a bit of a grenade amongst a herd of cats, because it allows people that flexibility now not to be locked into this situation. The board have been able to get a transaction across the line. The statements that have been made in the media is that due to abuse that's been suffered, the CEO Nigel Megasteel has withdrawn from the transaction. I mean, I'm going to tell you now, Al, I can get absolute evidence, and I'm prepared for the board to challenge me on this. This is not the first time that Nigel and Megasteel had expressed to the board that he wanted to withdraw from the transaction. This is a frustration that they've experienced for quite some time, and there's numerous occasions they've had, sort of sit-down chats to try and reconcile internal issues. That's come to light. Happy for the board or anybody to challenge me on that one. But not going to go into the details. So to come out and imply that the reason that the transaction was coming fell over was due to malicious communications with the shareholder, that implicated the shareholder group. It implicated me. I've got broad shoulders, so I don't take any of this to heart. But I can absolutely confirm that was nothing to do with us. We know who that shareholder was. The company have expressed they know it's nothing to do with us, and they know the shareholder was. And the advisors at the company have also suggested that they know it's got nothing to do with us. So that RNS was just a cheap, low blow. But that's the game we're in, and unfortunately, that's the kind of way that the tone that the directors wish to set. So they've been unable to get a transaction over the line. The deal did not complete for whatever reasons stated. And yesterday, after numerous, I would say at least 10 or 12 separate communications with board members, advisors, I've said, look, can we please try to move this on without any public aggravation? Shareholders are unhappy. I know at least a dozen or two shareholders wrote to the board and said, look, this is who I am, and we have got no confidence in you guys getting a deal over the line. Would you please step aside and let these guys through? And they've not wanted to. But the individuals that were proposed have got very credible backgrounds, corporate finance, legal training, and ability to raise substantial cash. They're going to come in at zero consideration. It isn't costing us anything. It will bring down the overhead at More Acquisitions. And I guess if you're Charles Goodfellow with 500,000 shares and you're not being paid for sitting on as a director, why on earth do you want to stay? I don't understand that at all, if I'm honest with you, Al. But and then you've got Rod McIlroy. Well, look, this isn't the first time Rod's been in this situation. You can go out and you can Google Rod McIlroy, 2020, 2010, and you can see, there was another shareholder meeting which was convened back 13 years ago, and Mr. McIlroy didn't show up to that one, and investors were deeply unhappy. But that's out there in the public domain for people to look at, and you can start to paint a picture on how, unfortunately, people will dig their heels in and stand at post, even if they have proven that they're unable to get a deal over the line. I just find that absurd.
Yeah, yeah. So, Doc, before we came on air, we were talking about the valuation of the company, and I believe currently there's 0.625p cash in the business at the present. Is that your
Well, that's
estimation?
yeah. I mean, that's look. The company has said there's 700, nearly 800,000 pound of cash, right? 768 or 788. I mean, again, I'll go back and have a look at it, but it works
Yeah.
out at 0.6, 0.65 of cash, something like that. Now, assuming that these guys can be frugal and not go and kind of banana the cash on anything stupid, then there's a chance that we can do a reasonable deal. I do think twice, but once bitten, twice shy. Investors perhaps are well within the rights to say, look, guys, we give you a long, long period of time to try and get a transaction over the line, and you just weren't able to do it. You weren't able to raise the money. You weren't able to get the valuation that was agreed with the vend, and there was a lot of internal dispute, I understand, between them over that valuation, and it seems to have kind of been fraught with, I guess, disappointment, frustration, and an unhappy sort of sentiment between all parties. And as I said to somebody in regard to this, the market sets the valuation on Mega Steel, and if all of the numbers and the X's and O's stacked up, then whether it came at 30 or 50, it was still good value based on its forward-looking figures and projections, and actually what it expected to generate in revenue and profits for this year, let alone the upcoming year. So, I can understand the disappointment from the guys at Mega Steel that they weren't getting the valuation. That's that valuation. When you're talking about the shell, the vehicle, they were setting that valuation. They were saying, look, we're happy at 2.25. We're happy to do it. The minute they didn't get their own way on their valuation, they wanted to blow the knees out on shareholders and say, well, we'll take a haircut of 40%, but you'll take a haircut of 80. Well, that doesn't seem fair, and it doesn't seem to be the way that you should be building and starting a relationship with investors. But it was made very clear to me that their interests were only with their own shareholders, and we should take it up with the board of more acquisitions, and that's exactly what we've done. And as a result, we've I've come to a personal opinion that the guys at Mega Steel definitely shouldn't be listed. They need a lot of help if they're going to list. They need the right board representation if they're going to list, just because they just lack a little bit of knowledge and understanding in certain areas. And I think, with more acquisitions, if you've sat there for a year and a half not getting paid and you don't have many shares and you've already shown you can't raise cash for transactions or get one over the line, Charles, why are you staying? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, they're glutton for punishment, or there's something a little bit more disingenuous in that position. The people that were proposed, they're fit and proper. They already sit on the board of numerous companies. They've got they're well versed in this. Us as shareholders are tasked with trying to invest in companies that we think we're going to get some value from, and invest in people that we think are dynamic enough to be able to turn things around when they go wrong, because things do go wrong. Let's not forget, we've all been in the market, we've got trades, we've got on the wrong side of transactions. And as long as we're getting a bang for our buck, we generally feel quite happy. Well, if we're winning, we're all happy. If we're losing and we can rationalize that loss, but again, circumstances. We can't do anything about COVID. We can't do anything about certain wider black swan situations. So we accept that, because that's the game we're in as investors. But if you don't feel like you're getting a bang for your buck, and you definitely feel that there's something, disingenuous or almost a bit on the suspicious side, then you're well within your rights to sort of investigate that. I reached out to the board and said, look, let's sit down, let's have a conversation. And it was repelled continually. And it doesn't make sense to me that, and they're not making any friends for themselves either.
No. Okay. So Doc, just as we wrap up, looking forward, what's your expected roadmap? I know there are so many variables in this, but what's the expected roadmap going forward in regard to potentially getting these two boards onto the board?
Yeah, I mean, look, the roadmap is, if they're prepared. We've not responded to the board yet, and this interviews came before a response has been submitted, so it might be something to touch upon in the future. But so I'm going to be careful what I say. But I mean, the company have come out and said, well, there'll be a general meeting, and you can cast your votes there and decide what you wish to do. Yeah, well, look, we don't want to cost the company any additional cash with an EGM. But we would need to have changes and modifications to resolutions, because that's what was being proposed in the EGM requisition. We would perhaps want them the board to remove their remuneration and bonuses until and clarify what is success, because I think they could go and do a deal if the shares are at 0.6 and they do a deal at 0.61. Is that considered success, and therefore they each get £100,000? For me, that would be an awful way and an awful outcome to see directors being remunerated when shareholders have been ironed out. So I think, that's perhaps something that they can do willfully. And we all understand if they go out and they find a deal and they're successful, everybody should get paid and aligned with the shareholders. My idea is to put two guys onto the board of this company as the representative to the shareholders, who've got the ability to keep the cash burn down, to get deals done, and to be dynamic enough, hungry enough, and capable of seeing a material uplift in the share price. And when I was tasked with doing this a week ago, and I spoke to these people, I said, look, come in here and doing a deal at half a penny or on terms which are simply reflective of the ones that were being offered beforehand, is just simply not going to be good enough. So if you take this on, you've got to really take it on with a view of seeing a deal at a materially higher level. And with the current cash position, seeing a deal at £1 million, even £1.5 million, or a penny and three quarters, a penny and a half, penny and a quarter, it's achievable. Now there can be no guarantee, Al. If the markets don't improve, if things stay the way they are, then maybe that deal doesn't get done at that point. But from a principle standpoint, at least we put the directors in a position to at least be able to try and get that type of a return. And given the shares are trading at 0.6, 0.7 right now, then if they can't double it from here, there's something very wrong. We're talking about a valuation of £750,000, £800,000 with £780,000 worth of cash. If you can't do better than this, we might as well all pack up.
Absolutely. Well, look, Doc, it's been great talking with you again. We wish you and the TMOR shareholders every success in getting the board changes you're seeking. And I'm sure that if the current board even can identify a suitable acquisition at a suitable price, then everyone will be happy. Either way, there's going to be a lot more to come from this. So we will be back to talk again about more acquisitions. Doc Holliday.
Well, Alan, look, just before we go, I mean, we are speaking to the press. We're hoping to get some coverage on this, and I'm sure if we get the coverage that we're looking for, these guys will follow that story through. And if we get the right people in, we can make and they can make the right acquisition. We can find the right sort of interest in the secondary market here. This could be a real good luck story, and it's one where the little guy manages to hopefully prevail in the face of looking down the barrel of a gun, which is where we were a week ago. So, again, it's about unity in the community. We can stick together and we can get the right outcome here. It'll be an absolute result. And hopefully the press will cover this story, because from what I've seen, the way it was reported initially was done in a horrendous way, and it was done to implicate shareholders that were completely innocent, void of any abuse and any sort of action which is considered to be either criminal or just inappropriate. So again, just to reassure any of the listeners here, it's not the way we roll. It's not not a fair representation of our group. There's a big group of shareholders now represent a large portion of the company. We don't support any of that sort of nonsense. So anybody who does want to buy and get behind this and get some, buy the shares because they perhaps think there's an opportunity because of the cash position, just know we're not coming at this with bloodied fists. That's not the route that we're looking to take. So thanks for your time, Alan. Thanks for your platform.
Thanks again, Doc.